So this past Friday, on March the 4th, 2022, I was reading through the news and I saw this article about a Kansas City police detective who was sentenced to 6 years in prison for the killing of a man who was simply backing into his driveway. I thought about doing a story on it and I began looking into it, and the more I looked into it, the more confused about what was going on I became. That's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so for those of you not familiar with the story, the facts of this case are, it's hard to track what was going on. I actually had to read a lot of different news articles in order to get the best picture of what happened that I could, as well as I have at least one friend that lives in the Kansas City area. So I sent a message out to him, asked him if he knew anything about the case, and he provided me with some additional details that we're going to talk about. If we want, we can get into the story here. So it says, former Missouri detective sentenced to 6 years for the killing of a man in his driveway. I'm not going to say his last name because I can't pronounce it. Eric was convicted of second-degree manslaughter and armed criminal action in the shooting of Cameron Lamb in Kansas City, Missouri. So here it goes to say that the Kansas City, Missouri detective who fatally shot the man who was in his truck at his own home was sentenced, and this happened in 2019, to 6 years in state prison. Eric received a 3-year sentence for involuntary second-degree manslaughter in the death of Cameron Lamb, age 26, and a 6-year sentence for armed criminal action. The sentence will run concurrently. So it says prosecutors stated Lamb. Okay, so this article is saying that Lamb was chasing his girlfriend's convertible in an allegedly stolen pickup on December 3rd, 2019. Police initially said they tracked the truck to a home and 2 officers confronted Lamb in the pickup in the driveway. This is where a lot of things get kind of squirrely. I'm not going to read the article all the way through, but basically what the judge ruled in this case was that the officers approached his vehicle and they had no right to be on the property, and therefore their actions from that point on were criminal. In police work, we call that fruits of the poisonous tree, meaning if you obtain evidence and the first thing you did to obtain that evidence was incorrect or illegal, then everything after that point also becomes illegal. So if a tree is poisonous and you eat the fruit off of that, the fruit is also expected to be poisonous. So that's that was kind of the crux of the case, and that's why the judge ruled. Now, there's a lot of other things being disputed in this case that might be ancillary. They might not be. I'm not quite sure. But there's some misleading stuff in a lot of these articles that I found, and oddly enough, the article that I found that has the most accurate information is one from like a cop block style publication. So this is Pinnac News, and this little thing here says photography is not a crime. And you can see they have their titles: Cops Gone Rogue, Be the Media, Cops in Cuffs, War on Photography. This is like a First Amendment auditor weirdo website. But the funny thing is they have the most complete story of what happened, and they're trying to pick apart these officers' testimony. But in my opinion, the more you dive into it, the more believable the testimony is. So in here, they talk about how this guy on the left, Cameron Lamb, was in an argument with his girlfriend, and she left the house. She left in a Mustang. He jumped in his pickup truck and began chasing her. During that chase, a couple of uniformed patrol officers spotted these vehicles that looked like they were chasing each other. I don't know if they were saying somebody was trying to run one off the road, whatever, but I can imagine that's kind of what was going on. Instead of pursuing and marked cruisers, which wouldn't necessarily be within most agencies' pursuit policies, the helicopter picked up the pursuit. So the helicopter is overhead following these two cars that are chasing each other, and then the pickup truck turns off. According to the investigation, Cameron's other roommate, which was also a female, I believe, called him and convinced him to come back home. So he turns off, and I mean, I would suspect that if the helicopter is watching people and this car is driving and this car is chasing it, and then this car pulls off, the one that I would follow would be the one that was doing the chasing. I wouldn't follow the one that was being chased, because you want to get a hold of the suspects. Those suspects are generally in the ones chasing somebody. That's how it works. So the helicopter called out that this vehicle had pulled into a driveway, and that's when these detectives who were monitoring the air arrived on scene. They approached the vehicle, and then there was a confrontation with the man. Detective Eric had the guy in the truck at gunpoint and was ordering him to stop, don't move, whatever. And then he stated in his testimony that he saw a firearm in Lamb's hand, and that firearm was being pointed at his partner, which I don't remember the name, and it's not super important. So he opened fire on Lamb, ended up killing him. Now, some of the details that they dispute, I'll post the link to this article here. But they're trying to say that his partner, Lamb believed he was defending his partner's life by opening fire. A lot of these articles and these people in the media are trying to say that the partner said he did not see a gun, or said that there was no gun. Here is the testimony. However, on Monday, when Schwarm took to the witness stand in Eric's trial, he testified he's not really sure if he saw Lamb's hand on the steering wheel, but remembers his partner yelling, "He's got a gun, he's got a gun." So what the man said is, "I'm not sure if I saw his hand. I'm not sure if I saw a gun." The media and the prosecutor, and I'm not sure what the judges said on this one, and the family and these activists are saying his partner is saying he did not see a gun. He said he's not sure if he saw a gun. I believe it was 9 seconds, this entire encounter. It's really hard to be absolutely sure in these situations if you aren't the one who took action. You know, you're off to the side, you're looking up, you're watching your partner, you're watching the vehicle, you're doing everything you can to watch everything in the scenario, but there's going to be some small details that you miss, and also there's going to be some things that are obscured from your view. So if he says he's not sure he saw a gun, that doesn't mean there wasn't a gun. It also doesn't mean there was a gun. It means he's not sure. Then there was some other stuff that happened. I'm just going to scroll up here. And there was testimony from officers who said, yeah, I responded to the scene after the shooting occurred. And then the prosecutor said, do you remember seeing a gun underneath Lamb's body when you responded? And the officer said, no, I don't remember seeing a gun. But then later on, there were photographs that showed a firearm near his body. Prosecutors are trying to say that the officers, or they're trying to plant the idea that the officers planted that gun there. I can tell you I've been on scene of a lot of shootings, and I've been on scene of a handful of officer-involved shootings. It's extremely chaotic. I actually just posted a video on my body camera channel the other day of a officer-involved shooting in Columbus, Ohio. I might go ahead and splice that in right here.
9-8, we got shots fired.
Please. Copy, can you get somebody headed to Kennard, please?
Where's the gun that he had? Where's the gun that he had?
It's right here. Sorry.
In that part of the video, one of the female officers who arrived on scene immediately after the shooting could be heard saying, where is his gun? And she almost stepped on it. It was right there. The problem is, it was such a high stress, high pressure situation. Even though she damn near stepped right over the gun, she wasn't aware that it was there. So the fact that an officer says, hey, I don't remember seeing a gun on scene, but then there's one in the pictures later, that doesn't necessarily prove anything to me either, because I've been in these situations and I know what's going through the officer's heads. Another funny thing about this case is that he was sentenced to 6 years in prison, and he wasn't ordered to turn himself in. He's actually going to be free on bond or bail, whichever one you call it, while he takes advantage of the appeals process. That is an unusual occurrence as far as I'm concerned. If the state had a hard locked in case, and like, in order to convict someone of a murder type crime, as far as I'm concerned, you better have a good case. You better know what the hell you're doing. You better be confident in the evidence that you're presenting. With the judge allowing him to remain free while he's appealing the process, that makes me believe that they don't necessarily have faith that this is not going to be overturned, or that they believe there's a strong possibility this is going to be overturned. And that kind of leads to my next question or problem with this, is that it begins to look like this was a political prosecution, that people are in the environment that we're in after 2020. People will stop at nothing to prosecute police officers. And I think you're starting to see cases like this where officers are going to be prosecuted, possibly found guilty, and then it's going to be overturned on appeal. So if people were really concerned about justice being served, they're being a bit hypocritical by kind of abusing the justice system in order to get convictions against police officers that aren't going to hold. That's kind of what I'm seeing with this case. I'm really interested if anyone else has looked into this and has any more information on the case. If you do, please let me know, and maybe we'll readdress this in the future. I don't know. Those are going to be my thoughts for today. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon.